You have developed a release plan assuming an estimated velocity of 25 story points per iteration with a project team of 6 members. Okay, the release is slated to cover 5 iterations. Okay, however, during the first iteration, your team actual velocity was only 15 story points, and it further declined to 12 story points in the second iteration. As the project manager, what should be your first action to address this situation? Okay, so 5 sprints, yeah, or 5 iterations, 2 are already done, 15 story points, I am missing 10 story points already in the first iteration as per my original forecast in the release planning. And the second iteration, the 10 became 13. So overall, I am already behind 10 plus 13, 23 story points. What should I do? Yeah, because this is a situation in the question. Let's see the option. Option A, continue with the current plan, assuming that team will naturally improve and meet the initial velocity estimate in the coming iterations. It is possible, but as a project manager, I need to be proactive. At least when I'm looking at the questions, I can't just say, okay, let's wait. Yeah, in this particular situation, especially because you are more or less 40% done with your estimated duration. Yeah, you just left with a 60% duration. You need to do something about it. You probably need to talk to stakeholders. You need to probably communicate the delays which might happen, or you may need to adjust the scope, or you need to improve the velocity by somehow. Some factor has to be done. Yeah, you can't just hope things will become better. They may become better because it was a first 2 iterations only, but we can't just hope they will get better. Option B, reassess the team capacity and revise the release plan based on actual velocities recorded in the first 2 iterations, potentially extending the timeline or reducing the scope. So this seems to be a nice idea unless we get a better idea out of it. I will say, okay, based on the current 2 iterations, I take an average. Probably I can say my average velocity is coming around 15 now rather than 25. Now, if I make based on 15 velocity, how many sprints I will take or how many iterations I will take, I calculate that and I work with the stakeholders and say, if you stick to the original scope, which was there with the assumption of 25 story points and 5 iteration, then we are going to take more iterations, probably 3 more iterations as per the calculation. And then I propose and probably ask them if they can adjust the scope or other things. Now you might be wondering, should not this job be done by the product owner? The answer is yes. If I have a question which is saying product owner can do all this job, I will prefer that option as well. But here the question is showing the project manager is leading this discussion. So in the hybrid project management, we can believe some part of product owner role might be done by a project manager for a project duration, because the question is not showing the character called product owner. So I can follow the project manager doing these facilitation and collaboration with the stakeholder. So option B looks good. If we have a choice, I should select product owner doing it. But since the question is not giving me that choice, I stick to the project manager role as well. So option B looks good. Let's see if we have other better option. Option C, increase the pressure on the team to meet the initially estimated velocity, implement overtime if necessary to catch up to the planned schedule. Now, you might see in your real world, this is the option which people take all the time or most of the time. Yeah, that's what they do. But the whole idea here is, in the agile way of working, we believe the team is already doing best. And if I put the pressure, they won't be creative, the quality will get suffered. And I want to have a good quality product. I'm looking for long-term relationship with my team members. So I'm not going to speed up the process by just making people work overtime. So it's a little dysfunctional option. So I avoid definitely this option C. Option D, add 2 more engineers to your team for the remaining 3 iterations to make up the gap and reach the goal. Now, this could put you in a trouble. So I would say the B and D, to me at least, looks pretty close. I can say, why to revise? Why don't I add 2 more people and then just speed up? Looks like I already have a 6 team members. I'm a little bit slow. If I make them 8 team members, more or less, I'm adding the desired capacity, and probably we can catch up the previous iteration lackness, and we can also demonstrate good velocity as we go along. That seems to be a thing which comes in your mind. In general, we need to remember the Tuckman ladder also, especially when we are working in the agile way of working. We understand if we disturb the team, it may go through the forming, storming stage again. their productivity may go down rather than going up. And adding people not necessarily equate to increase in velocity. So until unless I have a clear indication the work is separatable and you just need to add people to crash the project, crashing doesn't seems to work all the time, especially when we are focusing on agile way of working, because we focus on consistency, because we focus on self-organizing team. And if we keep disturbing the team composition, the self-organizing matter will get disturbed, and that may result into reduce in the velocity. And I can't just make a calculation that just 2 people will help me in doing it. It could be a feasible case. Yeah, probably when we look at the details and we understand what kind of task or what kind of work we are missing, we can do retrospective about it. It could be a possible solution which may come out, but without having all those information, I can't jump to this particular solution. So replanning looks like a good idea. Re-estimating, the revisiting the release plan, having collaboration with the stakeholders, and that is also talking about potentially. So revising the release plan and involving the right people in the release plan seems to be a better idea rather than just as a project manager, I add 2 more people and hope that we can catch up with the lack in the velocity. So that's why we go with option B. ECO, it's all about task 6 of your process domain, plan and manage schedule. It's about agile scheduling, focusing on release planning updates. Topics is release planning. You need to have a fair understanding of velocity, and you also need to have a fair understanding of team development, because adding people not necessarily always produce more velocity, and especially from the first or second iteration itself. After they get added, they may take few iterations before they start producing benefit in the velocity.